hello everyone, and welcome to the 115th episode of Tuesdays with Tobe. My name is Tobe Frierson, and it's great to be back before you again today with another message. For those of you who did not have an opportunity to see last week's message, please hop back 1 week and check it out. We were celebrating my dear cousin, Tony Weeks, who is a international boxing referee, and he actually had an appearance in Creed 3. So we had a private family watch party here in the DMV. You do not want to miss that episode. So hop back 1 week, catch up on that. And then today, I am excited to share with you all some of my thoughts about Women's History Month and exactly why do we celebrate Women's History Month? Why is that important? And I want to hear from you all in the comments. I want you all to drop me some comments after today's message and give some thought as to who are the women in your life that have been spurring you on, that have encouraged you, that have made you the person you are today. So whether you're male or female, who are the women that you like to honor? As we've got about 2 more weeks left in March, this is a great time for us to pause and to recognize this amazing month that we celebrate each year. Before we get started, as we do each week, I need you all to look behind me and let's go ahead and establish, let's say, our family rules together. Ready, read. During Tuesdays with Tobe, we'll use kind words. Do your best. Always be honest. Forgive and forget. Be happy. Count your blessings. Laugh at yourself. Stay positive and love one another, y'all. As many of you know, during the month of March every year here in the United States, we have an opportunity to celebrate Women's History Month. And now that we're right smack in the middle of March with just 2 weeks left, I wanted to prompt us to just kind of sit for a minute and reflect and think about, why is it that we celebrate women? Why is that important? And what are the things that we need to be thinking about or carrying forward as we say, women are a big deal. Congratulations, women. Women, we love you. And so today, I guess I want to take a moment to say that Women's History Month is extremely important. If you haven't taken a moment to pause and to personally think about the women in your life who perhaps have had a great impact on you, I want you to do that. And I just prompted you in the intro and said that feel free to just throw those comments in the chat as well. But today we want to honor and raise awareness for women, right? We want to talk about their contributions in literature, their contributions in science, their contributions in history, in the arts, in any arena. Women have made a big deal. Business women as well, entrepreneurs, women who have created. We also celebrate women today for gender equality. We know that men and women have not necessarily been equal in our society, and they certainly are not equal across the globe. And whether we'll ever achieve that grand equality that we're talking about, I don't know, but many strides have been made. So that's another reason to celebrate women as well, thinking about equality. Also, we've got to inspire future generations. There are little girls, there are teenagers watching, older people as well. Now with social media, we have the opportunity to really be influencers. But as we think about women specifically, if you have a small child, who does she look up to? Not that she only has to look up to women. Of course, we know that men can also be phenomenal role models as well. But let's be thinking about that as well. We need to inspire future generations as we think about women. And then we've got to honor women's voices, right? We have always had something to say. Women have been the backbone of many different movements and segments of society. Normally, when you see that front man, whether it's a man or not, there's someone behind the scenes. A lot of times that behind the scenes moment was filled with a precious woman who was working really, really hard. So as I thought about this, I just kind of did a quick search and I was like, who were the top 10 most influential women in history? And here's what I came up with. Number 1 was Harriet Tubman. We hear Harriet Tubman's name all the time for what she did during slavery in terms of how many people she led to freedom. And we are very, very fortunate that Harriet Tubman not only existed, but that she conquered the Underground Railroad and worked with a lot of people who were super kind. Those abolitionists had to help out in order for her to be successful. We also think about Susan B. Anthony, right? She was a women's rights activist and she played a key role in the women's suffrage movement. Her name comes up when we think about women who've been a big deal to us. Eleanor Roosevelt was on my list as well. Eleanor Roosevelt was considered another human rights activist, and she was influential, of course, in American politics because of her husband. So we lift up Eleanor Roosevelt. How about Rosa Parks? Of course, these are names that we've heard since elementary, middle school, but Rosa Parks ended up becoming one of the faces of the civil rights movement. Even though she wasn't the first to refuse to get up off of the bus, she was the face, and she's the name that we associate with the Montgomery bus boycott. And so we're grateful for her, Maya Angelou. My goodness, a poet, an author, a civil rights activist. Her work reflected her experiences growing up as an African-American woman in the Jim Crow South. We still quote her all the time. One of my favorite quotes by Dr. Angelo would be like, believe people when they show you who they are. I paraphrase that. But essentially she's talking about you can say things, but people are actually going to show you with their actions who they really are. And that's one of the things that I hold on to from her. Sojourner Truth, she's also on my list. She was a former slave and an abolitionist, and she's best known for her Ain't I a Woman speech, in which she argued for the equality of women and also for African Americans. How about Sandra Day O'Connor? Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. She became a trailblazer for women. Thank you so much, Susan Day O'Connor. And then Sally Ride, the first woman to travel to space. Rod was a pioneer in the field of space exploration and an inspiration to girls and women interested in science and technology. That science and tech field is so important for women to see ourselves in that space, because it's been a space that's been void of women for so long. And now there are a number of women doing amazing things in that space. So those are just a few names. There are many others. There are many other names. That's just what I was able to research. But now it's time for us to have our own names. Who are the people, the women in your own life who have influenced you, who have made a difference, who have given you an encouraging word, who've given you a kick in the rear when you needed to get moving, right? Who've given you that warm hug and that it's gonna be okay moment? Who are the women who you thought just did something absolutely incredible, and whether it was incredible by someone else's standards, it's something that you can hold up and then you can say, oh, this is a woman that I revere. This is a woman that I really appreciate, admire, and this is someone that I could actually emulate my life after. For me, I have a list of women here, and actually I decided to just write down all of my mother, her sister's names, her brother's wife's names, and then my dad, his sister's names, and then my dad's brother's wife's names. And I was like, wait, Toby, wow. You've always been surrounded by a phenomenal group of blood relatives and then also aunties by marriage that you literally absolutely look up to. I could tell you something specifically about each one of these women that have impacted my life, but then this would make this video way too long and it would be pointless. So I'm not gonna do that, but I am gonna call their names as a way to honor them. And as I call their names, I hope you start thinking about the women in your life. And it doesn't have to be your mother, your grandmother, your aunties, like I'm gonna name mine. It could be someone else who's been influential. But let's take a moment. Like I said, we have 2 weeks left for Women's History Month. And I wish I could tell you all about a Women's History Month program that I've gone to, or one of the museums that I've visited down here in DC that had a special display, but I haven't done that for myself yet. And guess what? Because I decided to dedicate this video to Women's History Month, I will be able to come back and report to you that I've gone to something. I've gone to a short talk, a lecture, or I went to one of the exhibits that they're doing especially for this month. But for the family, for me, I'm going to start with Marie Harriet Holmes. Marie Harriet Holmes was my mother's mom. And man, oh man, when I tell you guys that I was special to grandma for whatever reason, oh, well, I actually do know why I was special to grandma, but I was super special to grandma. My brother can tell you that, my cousins can tell you that, that grandma really had a lot of affection for me. Yes, that means I got away with a few things as well, but she was one of the most kindest, loving, calm individuals. Grandma did not raise her voice. She didn't have to. She wasn't big or large in stature either, but a force as it relates to how to bring a calming presence and how to know that you were seen and heard and valued. And so I want to honor Marie Harriet Holmes, my mom's mother. I did not know Lula Hilton Frierson. That was my dad's mom. And I've heard stories about Grandma Lula, but unfortunately she passed away when Dad was 12 years old. So super tender age, right? And so I didn't know her. But
Lula Hilton Frierson had.
So my Aunt Cynthia, my Aunt Mary, my Aunt Joyce, those are women that I have always looked up to. And I want to thank the three of you for being an extension of grandma since I didn't get a chance to know her. So those are my dad's sisters. And then my mom's sisters were Eartha Mae Davis, Gertrude Dolly Holmes, Aunt Dolly, Ruth Tiny Wilson. Ladies, wow, it's just phenomenal growing up, seeing all of you. Thank you for how you have impacted my life. Thank you that for all of you that I just named. I share DNA. I literally have a piece of all of you in me. And hopefully all the good parts of Tobe is what I've been able to share with others as it relates to who you all are. And y'all, it doesn't stop there, because my mother had brothers and my dad had brothers, and those brothers had wives. So to my mom's brothers' wives, Aunt Jeanette Moses Holmes, Aunt Dora Sally Holmes, Aunt Mary Fleming Holmes, Aunt Vivian Holmes. To you ladies, thank you so much. Thank you for your examples. And then my dad's brothers, to my Aunt Delaney K. Frierson. And then I have an aunt that's deceased, my Aunt Mildred Faye Frierson. Y'all, as I've done this reflection, I have been surrounded by phenomenal women. And that's just to name a few. My mother actually has some great co-workers in the past and friends who've been family friends that I've been able to look up to. I've also been able to be a part of many, many church congregations throughout my life because of attending church or my service in churches. And I always pick up a grandma, a auntie, a big sister. I pick up women along the way. And so, wow, I'm just really glad I took this time out to reflect during this Women's History Month, because women are a big deal. We are a big deal, and we're to be celebrated, and we're to uplift one another as well. I know a lot of times, and I've heard this statement through just casual groups, friendship groups, definitely working within ministry, where it's like, yeah, the last place I want to be is in a group of women. It's catty over there. It's competitive over there. And ladies, we're not. You heard all the names. Now, my family members, you don't know them, and I didn't go into stories about all of them, but you heard the other names I called. You heard the names of the most influential women in American history, and you know a little bit about those people. So no, this is not about a competition. It's a celebration. And it's a celebration the entire month of March, whether you started celebrating or not. Just like I said, I haven't celebrated yet, but I plan on doing so. I'm gonna let this video be the catalyst to get me moving. You all drop me some comments. Let me know who the women are in your life who've been influential. And I really appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you back there next time.